Meeting of SAFER Fire District to order on February 11th, 2025 at 17:30. If you'd please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nice navel there, Josh. All right. Attendance.
Cronin,
Here.
Langenhahn,
Here.
Maloney,
Here.
Opel,
Here.
Schaefer is absent and excused.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Correspondence and comments from the public on issues the SAFER board has oversight of. Yes.
Hi, I have one question from the last meeting, just the clarification. When you have a volunteer firefighter, I was asked by my neighbors, do they get paid when they get on the truck for a call or when they put their hands on the hose to suppress the fire?
When they get on the truck.
Okay,
And technically speaking, they would not be a volunteer fire department, firefighter, they'd be a paid per call firefighter.
what'd you call it?
Paid per call.
Paid per call, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Consent items. Approval of the prior meeting minutes of January 14th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Is that right? 2025, wouldn't it be?
Yes, it would be.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
The minutes
That
are
doesn't
in here,
mean
though.
that.
That's all
That
right.
doesn't void this meeting, does it?
No.
Oh.
No, she's got the right minutes in the packet. I'll make a motion to approve. With noting that we are approving the 2025 minutes,
Okay.
2024 minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of expenditures and receipts. Once again, with the correction, 2025.
Move to approve January 2025.
I will second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, D, presentations. Annual budget.
The annual report starts on page 18 in the packet, for those of you that have it. For those of you that don't, we'll bring it up on the screen here. So the annual report from 2024 is there for you to look over. Similar format to years past, the chief's introduction. And then personnel and staff reports, administrative, blue shift, red shift, and these are current staff members. Green shift and part-time staff, interfacility. And then it goes into the staffing report. There you can see our staffing level is still on a downward trajectory since 2017, 2018. And if you look at it, the full-time increase as the part-time decrease, and that's a discussion that we've been having over the last couple of years. Employee commendation recipients for this year's recipients are listed for Leadership Award, Firefighter Service, and EMS Service. Additionally, Callie was given the Administrative Commendation Bar. We're going to be doing, hopefully, commendation presentations and badge pinning at the next board meeting in March. Promotions are listed there. This is kind of a new section that we've added. With the signing of the union contract in July, all of the majority time staff were promoted. And then part-time staff, and we did have one engineer, Jacob Kolb, was promoted to engineer earlier in 2024. Two retirements that we had, Lieutenant Artis and Firefighter Bob Pound. Our ISO report is in there for you to read through. The next, graph of note shows the firefighters on scene that we average. That average has fallen steadily since 2022 to 2024 from 9.2 to 5.41, which again goes hand in hand with our part-time firefighters decreasing the amount of response that we get from them. EMS report from Callie. is there with the EMS response data. 911 calls were up quite a bit from 2024 or 2023 to 2024. Calls remain consistent. Fire rescue report from Battalion Chief McBain with the fire response data. Our fire service calls are up quite a bit from 2023 also. And that's across the board from our EMS fire response to structured fire response. We're doing more mutual aid to the area communities and to the contract areas. Our cumulative data is there. That was presented on Facebook. And then our total volume, you can see we're still in an upward. We've been pretty flat the last several years, but we're still in an upward trajectory. Fire inspections report from Fire Marshal Christensen. Training division report from BC Genrick. Training hours are listed out. Health and safety data from Battalion Chief Myers. Of note this year, our workers' compensation claims have gone up. We had one fairly large claim this year, one injured individual that had to have surgery, so that changed that outlook a little bit. Fleet information, public relations report from Captain Novak with some pictures from different PR events that we did. The fleet information, and there's the two new trucks that we got this year. Truck 1, the 100-foot Pierce, 2024 Pierce Velocity, and then the 2024 GM Ford. I'm losing it.
It's a Ford.
Yeah, Ford 350 for brush truck. Not pictured there is a new boat that we got, the Whaley 500R bolt. And then closing remarks. As you see the report, if you have any questions, I can try to answer them, or if you have any sections that you'd like me to highlight, we can go through them as well.
I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to do this. I know not everybody reads through the report, but I actually sat down today and spent a good half hour reading it. And there's a lot of good information in here. So thank you for everyone who took the time to write an article for this and put this together.
Okay, any questions for Eric or Josh on the?
Is there a link on your website to the whole report?
There will be. It hasn't been uploaded yet, but there on the website there's a link to all of our past annual reports, and this will be uploaded. We usually wait until at least after this meeting to upload the report in case there's any questions or comments or changes or anything that we might have to do with the report.
It looks to be very thorough, and like Steve says, I congratulate you and staff for putting such a good report together.
When you do have it uploaded, could you just send me a quick email that says it? Because then I'd like for us to do a post to release it to say that if anyone's interested, here's where it's available.
Absolutely. We usually, when we upload it to the web page, we'll also do a post on Facebook as well.
Okay, and if you do that, then you could just say post it, and then we'll share it.
Okay.
All right. Hearing no other comments. Business items, discussion and possible action on internship program, excuse me.
All right, that would be me. So we talked about this at the last meeting. We went through kind of what the intention of this program was, and like I said, we had been working on this for probably about 18 months now, on and off. I have a memo included in your packet that answers the questions that we had discussed at our last meeting. So the two big ones were, would the interns qualify to be in the WRS program? And the answer to that is yes, they would be enrolled in WRS. And then the second question was, would we have to offer them health insurance? And the answer to that is no, we would not have to offer them health insurance. And it sounds like the WRS thing is even a little bit gray, because there's at least one department that does not give their interns WRS, but the direction I got from the ETF and our account manager was that it's best practice to enroll them in WRS. So with that being said, if we were to start a program in 2025, beginning the 1st of June, I created a budget for that, and that budgeted amount came out to $51,285. The funds from that would come primarily from our fund balance, which has a little over 1.3 million in it currently, and then the remaining part of that would come out of our FAP funding from the state. And then obviously I planned moving forward too, because again, this would be a 2-year internship program, so we have to have funding beyond 2025. We have a couple things that I'll get into more in my Chiefs report, but the GEMT funding is a big thing that I will talk about more. That should hopefully bring in a fairly substantial amount of money. And then the FAP money is also increasing. I don't have solid numbers on that yet, but based upon the math that we've been giving, I think our FAP funding is going to be close to $100,000 a year, which is significantly more than we get now. So between the GEMT program and the additional FAP funding, and then using some of our operating costs moving forward to do this, I think it's pretty easily funded moving forward past 2025.
Questions?
I'll make a
I like
motion
it.
to, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Now, we're approving the internship program?
Correct.
And just
the
before
only
you
question
vote,
I have-
before you vote, Al, if I could, so the plan would be is that if this is approved this evening, we would immediately start to recruit. I actually have had a couple people ask me already, just because we've been discussing this. So I think recruiting is going to be very, very easy. So we will do an interview process, just like hiring any other employee, background check, those types of things. And then the hope would be to get them started in June. And in June, MTC has a accelerated EMT basic course that will complete in 6 weeks. So then again, we could use them for interfacility transports, by probably August or September, which obviously benefits us, but it would also benefit them because, like we discussed last time, we would pay them the interfacility wage to perform those interfacility transports, which for basic is $22 or $22.50 an hour. So it certainly gives them the ability to make some extra money.
The reason why I hesitate, I'd like to see a full board on this if possible. I really have no idea what. Personally, I favor the program, but I'd like to hear what Trustee Schaefer has to say. So could we wait till March?
That's certainly at the discretion of the board.
What kind of bind would it put you in?
To get rolling by June, but it's probably still doable. That would give us April and May to recruit and hire, so it gets a little bit tight.
Unless somebody heard something else from Fred, the last meeting we had, we actually talked about this, and I thought Fred was in favor of this.
Well, yes, I think he was, but again, yeah, okay, I'll go on that. All right.
Yeah.
I'll go on that. Okay.
Someone else before. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Trustee Cronin made a motion. I waiting for a second.
I second that.
All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, I remember him talking about, affirmatively about it the last time too, but,
Okay, good.
things might, I don't know, things, sometimes I get uneasy with not a full board.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Item number 8, discussion on potential fire fee.
This is something that I discussed with leadership from both communities, both board members and the administrators in both communities, and I wanted to bring it to the full board just for discussion. Obviously, any action on this would be taken by the individual municipalities. But again, I have some background information in the packet, and then I believe, Cher, did you have that handout?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a handout there from a community in the southeastern part of the state. I forget which one it was, and I had my paperwork on my tiny table here that now I can't find. Here it is.
this and, you know.
So this is
email
from
this or
the
something.
town of Merton. And this is how they are doing their fire fees. And I guess I would picture something similar potentially. But I just wanted to give that to the board so they have an idea of how these things look. The thing we don't know at this point is what our square footage fee would be that you kind of see in the middle of that paper there. Just because we don't know how many square feet we have in either community yet. I don't know what the appetite is for either community to do something like this moving forward. And we have some time, but certainly a big part of this is education. So we'll want to, get ahead of that a little bit if this is something we want to do in the future.
Do you have an extra?
More of a discussion point than anything for tonight.
All right.
I don't know if there's any board members with questions for me or comments or any initial feelings.
I do have a question. So I heard in between meetings here that that you had discussed with both municipalities, and I think I got some emails from Fred that they would still carve out the nonprofit and then impose the fee if they did that in Red Mountain, and then he was questioning if Weston would do the same. And I think that's kind of up in the air. We'd have to talk to our board, a fire fee, to schools and to hospitals. I think you pay as you go. I can't forget that meeting we had with all the residents there, several months ago. And every single one of those residents in Red Mountain said they would gladly pay, $100 or some kind of a fee on an annual basis. And so I don't know if the same structure would work or should work with nonprofits as a hospital or a school, being that would be something that you would certainly want to protect through public safety. And but like you said, we'd have to look at the formulas and see what that would be levied on. And then if you pulled the nonprofits out like taxes are, then what would that levy be against all the rest of the community? What fraction would that change, or how much more would everybody else have to pay? So I think once we get that, what were you talking about, Josh, the square footage?
Yes, square footage, and then I apologize, Mark, you don't have the handout the rest of the board has, but it's per square foot, and then they also have land. And the land amounts are pretty small, like for, the average size lot in one of the villages, it'd be $50 a year for the land. Right. And then it's per square foot after that. And I did some basic math, and if we charged what these folks are charging, an average home in either community is probably going to be around that $200 to $250 a year mark.
Yeah. Well, I can't for Keith's area, I can't see land. I see structures. I don't see something where you look at 250 acres and impose $300 on. I see structures, and I see that being enough to take care of this. But I'd have to look at that. But thank you.
I would just interject a little bit, Mark, that as far as the land fee goes, just don't look any further than what just happened in LA. Wildland fires are increasing. Urban wildland interface is a hot topic nationally right now. And we do a fair amount of wildland fire and land protection. So that's just something to consider when considering a fee. We don't just protect structures, we protect land as well.
I agree, but we certainly aren't in the same boat with those winds, those annual winds that come through. They're absolutely letting those forests just go to kindle. My God, it's like matchsticks up there. We would never do something like that. And so I kind of don't think it's the same, but I do understand your thought on land.
Yeah, I think the point of my handout is there's different options, and communities are doing it different ways. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other, to be honest with you.
Okay.
The other thing we did talk about, I think somebody at Red Mountain actually brought it up, was about, do we give discounted rates for buildings that have automatic sprinkler systems or alarm systems? And I think there's certainly the option for that. I spoke with Marty, and it sounds like that data is easy enough to pull out for commercial buildings. The problem we'd run into is with residential structures, is how do we know that? There's certainly ways to do it, but it would just become, I'm concerned it would become labor intensive. There's very, very, very few homes with sprinkler systems, but there's quite a few with alarm systems.
Right.
And how do we prove that? And again, they could probably send us an invoice from ADT or something like that. But my concern is who's gonna monitor all that and make sure that everything's accurate.
Well, to that point, I mean, could it not be a situation where everybody automatically gets charged the fee, and then we do some PR with whether it's Facebook or the Weston Wire or in Rebound, however you guys do it, but put it back on the property owners to get that information to us if they want to get that discount.
The problem is, all of a sudden, they don't have ADT anymore. It's never going to go away.
Well, then-
It's kind of like the lottery credit right now, where people are getting it, some people aren't, and then the state is the one in charge of detecting that if people are getting it and they shouldn't, and we're not going to have that means to do
Would
that.
they have to provide proof then every year?
Yearly then?
Yeah,
I can't imagine how difficult that.
I don't know.
Well,
My concern with the alarm systems is that annually we would probably have to get people to prove that they have an ADT or whatever company contract for say 2025, and then I just don't know as SAFER. I don't know that we have anybody that could sit down and go through the probably fairly large pile of paperwork that would be to confirm that everybody actually has it. That would be my concern. Sprinkler systems. Commercial buildings, very easy because we inspect all those anyway, so we have that data. But in a residential structure, an alarm system would be pretty difficult for us to keep on top of.
Maybe you only provide a discount if it's sprinkled.
And that's also an insurance concern, so they would be getting special rates on insurance. I would tend to agree that it would be a charge to everybody. And, so the fire isn't so great for, something that's sprinklered or possibly getting there earlier, but then that would be it. The same services would be coming. Because it's an alarm or a sprinkle, you don't send less equipment.
Correct.
It would still come, so, yeah.
I can just imagine that if I were to present this at my village board meeting,
Right.
the argument would be we're already paying taxes for SAFER, all right? Again,
Right.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I know what I'm going to hear, all right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a while, and I think Fred still has his stand where he doesn't like to charge for vehicle fires, right?
Structure fires.
No, Fred being an insurance guy was against vehicle fires.
He
Charging
didn't have a
for
problem
those.
with vehicle fires. He had a problem with structure fires.
Oh, okay, because you're already insured, all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because we could be billing everybody $500 for a structure fire, and every insurance contract has that built into it. So right now we're currently basically letting the insurance companies get away with $500 every time we have a structure fire.
Starting to sound like marathon now.
So what would this fee cover? What does it do for you to collect $250 from me as a resident? Where is
So
the
this
money
would
going
be-
to go?
This would be totally different. So basically, with trying to summarize it here a little bit, is that we would have to divide our costs up between fire and EMS. So what it costs to operate the fire suppression and fire prevention side of our department and the EMS side of our department. And I did that already with a budget. And when you take the EMS revenue, I'm using 2025 budget numbers. There would be, between the two villages, there would be between $500,000 and $600,000 of money that the taxpayers would have to provide SAFER to respond to EMS calls. There would be approximately $1.6 million that the taxpayers would have to be charged through a fire fee to SAFER to respond to fire calls. So basically, this does a couple things. Is it allows us a little more flexibility with fees, to be honest. And then the other thing that I wasn't exactly on board with this from the beginning, but when you really stop and think about it, it provides us with a little bit more transparency, I think, because you would know exactly what you're paying the fire department every year to respond to your house. Right now, you have no idea because it's all into one big bill, right? And a lot of times when most municipalities do budgets, it's all put under public safety. And some municipalities, none in the room, but some municipalities will put other things in public safety that, at least in my opinion, are not public safety. So I think this is a little bit more of a transparent way to actually charge for those costs. And keep in mind, it's not extra. It's going to be coming off of the tax levy and moving into a fire fee. It's being moved from one way of billing it to a different way of billing it.
So when everybody got up here and met in, I think it was December, maybe it was November, I don't really remember. The concern was that the same people who do the EMS do the fire, and that if there's a fire, that everybody's out on an EMS call. So everybody would be willing to pay more money so that there would be both available.
Correct. This would allow for that.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
It would help increase the staffing levels that we're at.
Okay. And I think you should charge the $500 for the structure fire, because if the only person it's going to affect is the person who doesn't have home insurance, so they would have had to have their home paid off, and most people cover insurance anyway, and it's coming out of our insurance side pocket that we pay into. So basically, you're leaving money on the table. That's my thought on that.
Well, I will, I got to peruse this a little bit yet and
Like
find
I
out,
said, we
find
have
out
plenty
budget
of time.
and
This
the
is
budget,
something
what's
that's
going to happen.
Anytime in the near future, and it's really up to the individual municipalities on how they want to do it. If anybody chooses to move forward, obviously, we'll be there to help with education. I know in Weston we talked about having some open houses and kind of some Q&A sessions and things like that. So I really think there are ways that it could be a positive, with a little bit more transparency.
Well, I would hope so. Whether it moves it, the way you explained it, it would be kind of a negative or a wash with the budget. If it was something like that, a wash with the budget, but I don't think it's going to be a wash.
For the first year,
It's going to cost us more.
For the first year, you have to reduce your levy.
Okay.
Is it gonna cost more on the tax bill? No. You're gonna reduce your levy and you're gonna be moving it to a fee line.
Yeah, but tax-wise, individual tax.
Your individual taxes are forced to go down unless you are able to increase your levy more because of net new construction.
Okay, well, we'll see.
It doesn't,
We'll see.
but correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't, Weston could choose to go this route and Rib Mountain doesn't have to, correct?
That's how
Correct.
we are gonna, instead of going to a referendum, we are looking at raising funds this way.
Okay.
All right. Well, like I said, I got to look at it a little more. At least that's my thought.
I don't think, this wasn't something we were gonna take action on.
Right.
No,
No.
no, I
This is just out
understand.
for discussion,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
It was just the first presentation.
Yeah. And it's from one municipality, right?
Yeah, that's
You'd have to do a little more research.
Yeah, that's just an example.
Right.
There's a few municipalities in the state that use a fire fee. There are also some examples of at least one municipality we're aware of that they use a combination where I think they cover 6 municipalities, and like 4 of them are on the fire fee and 2 of them are tax levy.
Okay.
So each municipality can make the decision for themselves on how they want to pay their portion of the
Okay.
district.
And the more I was sitting here thinking about this too, that offering a discount, maybe offering a discount for the alarm system would not be a feasible way to go about things because it's going to create a lot of extra legwork. But if we can pull the sprinkler system data, that I think could be feasible. And not only that, but that has the potential to lessen the amount of equipment that we have to have there, because if the sprinkler system activates, it's going to knock it down before we even.
We're still going to
get on the scene.
respond with the same amount of equipment.
But it may not be as big of a
Right.
as big of an issue
Yeah.
once you guys get
Still
there.
use
So.
less resources.
Yeah.
Correct.
The
Potentially.
manpower will be less hours.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Keeping
I
in
think
mind
that's
that
the big point there is anything can happen, obviously, but if it's a sprinkler fired, it's extremely likely that we're going to spend much less time there than we would otherwise.
Correct.
sprinklers are designed to suppress fires, not put them out.
Right.
You still need the fire department to put the fire out. So just keep that in mind on what the design is for specifically. If you sprinklered every building in the district, you'd still need a fire department.
Sometimes they just don't work.
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion on fire fee? Okay, hearing none. End of year budget review.
Jessica, since you are there, would you mind going over that?
Sure. So this is still kind of preliminary. There's one more entry that needs to be made, but so far the total assets are $1.5 million. Our ambulance receivables did go up quite a bit. It was roughly $500,000. And when we were looking at the documentation that we received from EMSMC, you can see for the months of both November and December, there are barely any collections. Compared to when we looked last year's with LifeQuest, they collected quite a bit already. The receivable was only really from December. They already collected a lot from November, but with this year, with the delay with EMSMC, the receivable went up quite a bit. So that, with that, it increased our revenues quite a bit because we had to adjust the receivable, which is account 13120 quite a bit. So we're at $2.1 million with our estimated uncollectible at 1.4. So with that, the accounts payable and the other liabilities, there's not much change. We do accrue wages, so when you that first payroll in January, all the wages related to 2024 are booked back, and you can see those there. The big change that I think we all see is that there is an increase to the fund balance. It's $195,000. If we go to the following pages, you'll see the revenues. The intergovernmental revenues are unbudgeted. That includes the fire insurance fees from both RIV and Weston. And then I believe that ARPA grant was from Red Mountain. And then the EMS funding assistance, which is that FAP program that Josh was talking about earlier. And you go to the charges for public. There's the ambulance fees. We ended up at $1.3 million compared to budget of 1.4, so we're just shy of $57,000 off of budget. So what that shows us is a lot of time during the year that the lack of revenue was really truly the case, because when we did finally look at 12/31 what SAFER owed for the year, it went up quite a bit.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
I just want some help understanding something. So EMSMC, which is obviously the company that we moved away from,
Yes.
correct? How much money do you anticipate that we are still due for stuff that they have that has not been billed out or collected, or do we have a number on that?
Billed everything.
Yeah, everything's been billed.
Okay.
As of right now, we believe December has all been billed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has been. It was everything was billed as of several weeks ago. There were a couple outstanding reports that we needed to do some clarification on, but everything's been billed.
Do we have a dollar amount on how much we
I
expect to collect yet?
I would have to pull it up right now. Josh, have you looked at it lately, what the difference is between billed and collectibles? I want to say, I mean, I would be totally guessing, but there's probably about $1 million plus billed and maybe 40% of that collected, so there's probably $600,000 out there that's been billed and not collected, something like that, or more.
The report that we got was 1.2.
1.2. So it's even
that
higher.
report was from 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
At this point, are we confident that they're still working to collect on that, or is that something
Yeah, we
that?
just received an email from them yesterday.
Yeah, I've gotten emails the last 2 or 3 days with reports, just outlining where the funds are between the 3 phases. There's still a number of bills that are in phase 1 that haven't moved to phase 2 or 3. And, like we've said in the past, especially moving to phase 2 and phase 3, the percent that they collect on it is so much higher. It's advantageous for them to continue to try to get those funds.
No, I understand. I just want to make sure that we're not in a situation where now that we're no longer with them, that they're not continuing to try to push to collect that. Because if that was the case, then I
It's
didn't know.
definitely in their best interest to collect as much money as they can. It's a if we get paid, they get paid thing. So
Sure.
if they're leaving money on the table, they're leaving their own money on the table too.
All right.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Because, the other thought I had was I didn't know if it would be possible to have our new agency go back and look at some of that stuff if there's a fee that they would charge to do something
Yeah,
like
I
that,
don't
or-
think they can, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I don't think, what's the new company?
It would get pretty sticky if we tried
Dakota,
doing that
yeah.
because our contract for
Right.
EMSMC was through 2024.
Right.
So it would get a little bit sticky if we tried doing that contract-wise.
And there's HIPAA laws that prevent the new company to look at old reports
Okay.
because they don't, according to HIPAA, they have no reason to look at those reports and have access to that medical data. So there's laws and things that muddy that.
I understand. I
Yeah.
just spitballing ideas here if we got
Yeah.
into a situation where that money was sitting out there and we weren't collecting on it, so.
I will say my concern, I got an email, and I'm sure Jessica got the same email yesterday, I think it was, that our deposit from EMSMC was right at $66,000,
Pretty low.
which is again quite a bit less than I would have expected.
But that
I
was,
expect it to be probably 30 to 40% more than that. And then I'll talk a little bit more when we get into the chief's report here about a couple other things related to EMS billing.
Okay. All right, that's all I had.
All right, any other questions on the budget review?
I was gonna go in that, so in the end, we do have a surplus of 195,000. I did get approval from the board in December to move everything but 75,000 over to capital. That's where I wanted to say it's not done yet. We are waiting for the audit to be complete and, Jacob? No, that's his name. From Hawkins. Anyway, he said he's all done. He doesn't anticipate any more entries, so we gotta get that entry. So we will get that done yet. But we'll be moving a good chunk of funds over to capital, further reducing the amount for capital in the future.
All right. Moving on. Attorney referral. Do we want the attorney in on anything yet? Nope, all right. Sounds good to me. Staff reports? Chief?
All right, I got a few things here. Let's talk about EMS billing here real quick. So we're fighting with the old billing company. I was kind of fighting with them again today. They are not being very nice to the new billing company. They have a totally separate department for new people coming on and people going off of their service. And I'm guessing it's kind of like when you call call charter, and if you say you want to add service, they answer the phone right away. But if you say you want to cancel, you're going to be on hold for a while. So they're not getting back to Sakota, our new billing company. And with ETFs from most of the payers, you can only have one. Obviously, they're only going to deposit money into one bank account. And right now that is going through EMSMC, so Sakota can't see what's coming in from what they billed out in January. They sent me the report of what they billed in January. I don't have it in front of me, but it was right at $220,000, which is a solid number. So that's good. The problem is that they don't know what's coming in because they can't see any of it because EMSMC won't call them back. I sent an email to Carrie, who was our account rep, and her answer was, I apologize, but it's out of my hands. It's a whole different department that handles that. You gotta realize this company is huge. They have like 1,500 employees or something like that. So I sent an email to the people that are handling it. They did not respond to me. And about 2 hours ago, our billing manager from Sakota sent a fairly strongly worded email that I don't know if Sherry, you or Eric were copied in on, but I was, and to somebody different at EMSMC, and said they kind of need to be professional nicely. So hopefully that'll get something out of them. Otherwise, I mean, if something doesn't change here pretty soon, either myself or probably be, us is going to have to get a little bit more forceful with them sharing information, because there are several things that through Medicare, Medicaid, and these other billing companies, there can only be one company on the account. They won't let multiple different billing companies. I'm sure that's a fraud prevention thing. And it's kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest with you, when we set all this stuff up. But EMSMC has just been horrible about sharing that information with the new company. So that's the long way of saying that we don't have a solid grasp on what came in for January. Now, the good news is that I really expected the January number to be pretty close to zero because, they get 30 days to pay for stuff. So you're not going to see money start to come in until February, March anyway. But I want to get ahead of it before we get behind and we get in trouble. So we're staying on that pretty hot and heavy right now. Sharon and I had a web meeting with Sakota last week. From their end, everything seems to be going well. They're getting all of the runs. We had one that was being a little bit of a stinker that I think Eric took care of today.
We took care of it.
And they didn't have any of their concerns, so things seem to be going just fine. Like I said, they billed out about $220,000 in January, so that's good news. The other thing is GEMT. So this is the thing that we've...
Josh?
Yes.
Just real quick, a question on the other one. So you're saying that the two companies, only one can do EFTs at a time, correct?
Correct.
All right, is there any way we can talk to, pardon my not knowing the right word, but like the EFT company or the bank or whoever, and say, hey, this is our predicament. We got a stinker on one end that's not, working with us. Is there any way, if we let everyone know who's everybody, that then they can both see? Or has that been done already?
That has not. We can try that. The sticky situation here is that obviously EMSMC is probably going to be collecting for another 12 to 18 months.
Right.
So they still need access to that.
Right.
And then Sakota said they will tell them what's coming in. They'll have a portal set up that they said can go back and forth.
But they're not communicating. Right.
Correct. EMSMC is not working with them, so they can't get any of that done. So right now, the problem is Sakota has no idea. They sent bills out that may have been paid, but they have no idea if they've been paid or not. They can't see them.
No, I think it just, even a couple hour window, per day, and then shut it back down just so Sakota could see that.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's going to be pretty high on the priority list here for the next week or two to try to get that figured out. It's just, I think it's pretty unprofessional and crappy from EMSMC.
Yeah.
You think they would want to they'd want to stay in your good graces, because if this new company doesn't work out, we might want to go right back. But when they do stuff like this, it makes you not very willing to do that.
That's just ridiculous. It's much harder, hateful to work against someone than it is to be nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Thank you.
I had a quick follow-up question on that too. So when you say accounts, is it possible that setting up a second account, that these could be a second bank account that things could be deposited into for 12 to 18 months would fix the problem?
We do have two separate bank accounts right now. It's this, and you have to forgive me because I don't understand it exactly, but it's these payer portals. Like there's a middleman that this stuff has to go through, and there can only be, the way that I understand it is there can only be one line of communication that this money has to flow through. And again, I'm sure those are safeguards put in by the federal government to prevent fraud. So it can only flow through one way into basically one account number, I'm assuming. And there's not a way that we can have it go to two different places at the same time.
Josh, I don't realize, maybe you don't realize what you just said. You said it was put in place by the government to prevent fraud.
Maybe that's not so accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Is it something that we need to get our attorney involved in at this point?
I don't think we need to yet, but I would say certainly by the next meeting, if we don't have some significant movement on this, or even before that, we may want to reach out to him. Because I'm guessing if, either Shane or Dean sent a nice letter to EMSMC, that would probably get them motivated a little bit.
Yeah. Do we have a problem giving him that okay as a board right now? I know we already did attorney referrals, but if it gets to that point before the next meeting, that he doesn't need to wait on us.
It's not one of the business items, so I don't know, it's not on the agenda. I don't know if we can even act on it.
Just throwing that out.
I think I can get some stuff done without having to get them involved.
Okay.
We've been, up until today, honestly, we've been a little bit easy on them, but now it's starting to get pretty frustrating. After that call that Sharon and I had with them last week, I was fairly frustrated about it, so we're to the point now where we'll start pushing a little bit harder.
I stand corrected, under attorney referral, we probably could do it.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. Thanks for not stopping on me.
You're all right. That's okay. I'll let it slide just once.
All right.
So The other thing I had was the GEMT program, which we've talked about. I don't know if anybody remembers. We've talked about that for probably the last 2 to 3 years. That was supposed to be the program that was going to come through in 2022, I believe it was supposed to start. And it just never happened. And then the numbers were moving all over the place about how much we were actually going to get. So what this is that basically, and I'm using some very round numbers here, if we transport a Medicaid patient, so this is for Medicaid patients only, if we transport a Medicaid patient and we get paid $100 for that Medicaid patient, we have to do a worksheet that basically says how much it costs us to run on every ambulance call with our, our supplies, our fuel, our insurance, our labor costs, everything. And let's just say that number comes out to $500, but Medicaid only paid us $100. The federal government will reimburse that other $400 to make us whole. So then we will have to report those all the time. When myself and Eric and Callie were in Green Bay here, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was for the Wisconsin EMS conference, we talked to some people at the state that are in charge of this program. That money, we have been assured now, is coming through for sure. And the better news is that they're going to pay us back through the year 2023. So they told us in June we will receive a check for all of 2023 and all of 2024. It's impossible to know what that dollar amount is going to be. I did some extremely rough math, so please do not hold me to this. But I did some really rough math, and I think we're going to be in that $250,000 to $300,000 mark that we're probably going to get. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves until we actually have that money in our hand. And then we will see that every year. There's some reporting that we will have to do. Callie just sent us an email today. She's kind of been the one that's been watching this because she's on the list for as our EMS director. There will be some training that'll have to be done. I think my plan right now is that myself, Eric, Cher, and Callie will all go to that training. I'm a little bit concerned that this will be fairly labor intensive for us to enter all of this stuff into the system, but we will learn about that here in the fairly near future. So things are going to move pretty fast because they told us that we will have money in June. And we didn't even do any reporting yet. So we're only going to have like March, April, May to get trained and get reporting all done for a 2-year period. So it'll be probably pretty fast and furious when it happens here. And again, we'll get paid that every year then. So I'm again, very rough estimate, but I'm hoping that'll be $100,000 to $150,000 of extra revenue every year. And with that being said, between that GEMT money and then our significant increase in FAP money, our FAP money should go up approximately 10 times this year because of the extra money that the state put towards the FAP program. And I will bring this back at a later board meeting, probably either March or April. If that FAP money comes through the way that we anticipate it to, I would like to go back and potentially do a budget amendment so we can bring back our part-time people. They may not be able to come back to their normal 24-hour shifts. That's that position we had to cut this year. They may not be able to come back to their 24-hour shifts, but I'm hoping we can maybe do 12-hour shifts, or they could potentially work second shift and third shift and weekends when myself, Eric, and Callie and Marty are not in the office. So there's some extra help there when we're not there. We're looking at ways to do that, but that'll come back at a different board meeting once I know solid numbers of what that funding is going to be. So that is all I have.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Deputy.
My report's in the packet. 284 EMS calls. We had 101 total fire responses. You can see we're still doing a fair amount of mutual aid. We had 2 mutual aid, one to the city of Wausau, one to Mosinee. That Mosinee fire, we were on scene for like 14 hours at that fire. That particular fire, we were first on scene. Our engine took incident command initially. I got on scene fairly quickly. I was in command of that fire for 11 hours in Mosinee before we turned over command. And Mosinee was there. I mean, we were there 14 hours. I want to say Mosinee was there an additional like 4 or 6 hours after we left. So that was a commercial property with tires and rubber that was burning. So that was a long one. Structure fire on Compass Circle in the village of Weston, and then vehicle fire behind Walmart in Red Mountain. And then recently, here in the last couple of weeks, we had a structure fire in Raybell in the village of Weston. Concurrent call data is there. It's the same for January and year to date. We're still running right at 40% concurrent call rate. I think that data is going to hold true forever. I don't see that. I mean, if it moves at all, I think the concurrent call rate is going to move up. And we'll see it creep 40, 42, 45%. Training hours and training topics are there. Nothing to report on any apparatus at this time. Fire prevention activities are there for January. And then grants. The firehouse subs grant we did not get. We were notified, unfortunately. I think that has to do with a couple of things. Number one, when you apply for that grant, you have to list the nearest firehouse subs. And at the time, our firehouse subs was not in operation, so our nearest was Stevens Point. I'm hoping we have a better chance at that grant this year, or the next time it comes open. We're getting ready for the SAFER grant for additional 2026 staff. That has not opened yet. The last couple of years, it opened in March. We were hoping it would open up here in February, but there's some things going on at the federal government that kind of froze that and then restarted that, so we're not exactly sure when that grant may come open, but we'll be applying, discussed for 9 firefighters for 2026. So that completes my report, unless anybody has any questions that I can answer.
Any questions for Eric?
I just want to add one thing real quick on that West Raybell fire. The crews did a very, very good job. That was a basement fire. Basement fires are the most dangerous fires we respond to because you're crawling through the hottest part of the fire to get to the fire. And when they got in there, the initial crew had fire basically blowing up the stairwell at them, and they were able to push it back down to the basement and basically kept it into a corner of the basement where the fire started. So it was, and that was one of those days, it was about 30 below zero as well. So it definitely had its challenges, and luckily everybody was over in Weston training that afternoon. So the entire department was over on that side. But they did a very nice job.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, that fire was a great case to look at on how when you have resources available close by, no ambulances. Well, we did have one ambulance out, but they got there quickly, knocked the fire down. One thing I forgot that I wanted to add, we will be interviewing the last week this month for the paid per call firefighter program. So we'll have more of a report at the next meeting as we get that program up and running.
Okay.
Did we get 12? I thought we were.
No, we have 10 applicants.
Okay, so
Wow.
close.
Yeah, we have 10 applicants. Of those 10 applicants, it's about 50-50, so half of them are firefighter trained and half of them will have to go to training. So.
Okay.
We were concerned, we have a couple experienced ones in there, and we were concerned that if we just left it hang out there, that people might start to lose interest and our numbers might go backwards. So
Okay.
we got pretty close to the 12 numbers, so we made the decision to go ahead with interviews.
Okay.
And
Good enough.
And I was saying to Steve that we need to, I haven't gotten responses yet. I sent out an email 2 weeks ago. It was like 2 weeks ago to set up interviews, and I've only gotten responses from about half to schedule those interviews. So I'm going to send out some more emails or make some phone calls here to get those scheduled.
Okay.
Sometimes admittedly, stuff like that, people, I know I've missed emails before, so
Yeah, I know.
it helps to get a phone call sometimes.
No.
And I did send it out in the neighborhood newsletter, which y'all told me last time.
Okay,
You
good.
just had somebody that was interested from around here.
All right. If that's it, I got to ask Mark how the campaign is going.
It's doing okay. We'll see how it, I'll be out of town next Tuesday, and Monday for our board meeting, I'll be attending our board meeting, by Zoom. But I do want to have a comment. Well, first of all, thank you, Al, for chairing the meeting, number one. But number two, for the Rib Mountain, board members and, municipality, there is, an agenda item on SAFER, on some questions by one of our trustees. And I'm all about no surprises, so if you have any questions, you can certainly ask me or Steve or Jamie Gabe, our administrator.
Yep.
I know Chief Finke knows about this. This trustee just has some questions, and some of it will be in public, and I just don't want to rattle anybody, and especially with a great neighboring partner as Rib Mountain is with us. So no surprises. I just want to bring that up so you don't get surprised and see our agenda and go, what the hell is this about? So.
Okay. No, I have complete faith in, you guys.
Well, we do too. We feel extremely good about our relationship and very proud to be working with your community. So, thank you.
Well, the reason why I brought up your campaign was I heard Beyonce has got a week free in March. You could use her fundraiser.
It probably won't be Beyonce, but Keith Urban did invite my wife and I out to Las Vegas next week to see him in concert. So maybe he'll say something on a country stage. So we'll see.
Well, if you take enough constituents with you, maybe you'll get the votes.
Yeah, I don't think Taylor Swift helped the Kansas City Chiefs at all, but whatever. Yeah. I love it.
All right, getting back to the serious part of this. All right, we got remarks from the board of directors. Mr. Langenhan?
None.
Mr. Cronin?
I don't have anything.
And I have nothing. We're looking at a meeting date for next month.
March 11th.
I'll have
I'm
to
good
be
with it.
excused.
You're going to have to be
I'll be
excused.
here.
You'll
No,
be-
I'll be there. That's a good date for me, Sheriff.
Okay.
Yeah, I can make it too.
Do you happen to know if Mr. Schaefer would be able to be here?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
He did tell me if I bring guacamole and chips, he'll be there.
I would just send it out and see.
I'll send it out and see. Yep.
I'm excited for guacamole and chips next time, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, stop teasing me. I love your guac up here, your pico. You gotta bring pico, not guac.
Both.
I can bring pico too.
Well, you have a good time out in Vegas.
All right. Thank you, Al.
All right. I'm looking at a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded for adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.